There has been a disturbing trend in the pet industry that has been gaining momentum over the last couple of years, and it all starts with this. It all begins with a simple question, one that we ask ourselves when we bring a new animal into our home. Do we really have the commitment for the lifetime of the animal? You see, every year millions of animals enter our homes through adoption or as a gift. To answer the question, we've looked at some of the reasons people have given in the past for putting their pets down and compared them to recent stories. What we found was alarming. It's important to remember that dogs are animals and they need guidance and structure from their owners. With patience and consistency, many dogs can overcome behavioral issues and become well-adjusted members of society. But many of these animals will end up homeless again or in a shelter facing euthanasia. And tragically, many will lose their lives. Dogs require a significant amount of time, energy, and money to care for them properly. We're here to help you and your dog succeed. They need to be fed, groomed, exercised, and socialized. Well, yes, health issues are also a major factor in euthanasia rates. You see, there's a difference between being compassionate and being hasty. That is why it is so important to work closely with your vet to develop a plan that is in the best interest of both you and your dog. It's important to remember that dogs are living beings who feel pain, fear, and anxiety just like we do. Remember, you're not alone and there is support available. When making this tough decision, we encourage you to be patient, understanding, and above all, compassionate towards your furry friend. Boo's owner, Sarah, says that she made the decision to euthanize him because he was in pain and couldn't eat. She felt that it was the most humane thing to do and that he would have suffered too much if she had kept him alive any longer. We would love to hear from you and your experiences. Your stories may help other people going through the same thing. So let's continue the conversation and support each other during these difficult times. However, another dog owner, John, faced with the same situation recently, chose to pursue palliative care for his dog. Palliative care is designed to improve a pet's quality of life by managing pain and other symptoms associated with a life-limiting illness. John worked closely with his vet to develop a palliative care plan for his dog, which included medication to manage pain and anxiety. He says that while his dog was still in pain, the palliative care plan helped to keep him comfortable and allowed him to live for several more months. While it is important to consider a pet's quality of life and to act in their best interest, euthanasia should not be used as a quick fix or a convenient solution. Some owners may rush to euthanize their pet without exploring all other options. It is important to remember that every dog is different, and what may be humane for one dog may not be the best option for another. Dogs can suffer from a variety of illnesses and injuries that can make their quality of life poor. Some of these conditions can be treated with medication or surgery, but others are incurable. When a dog's health is in decline and treatment is no longer an option, owners may choose to euthanize their pet to prevent them from suffering any longer. That is why we recommitted to helping as many people as possible find the resources they need to keep their dogs. We have a team of experts who are available to answer any questions you may have about dog ownership, including training, behavior modification, nutrition, and exercise. We also have a network of resources that we can connect you with, including doggy daycare centers, dog walkers, and pet sitters. And if they're not given the attention and care they need, they can become bored, frustrated, and destructive. When owners don't have the time or resources to provide for their dog's needs, they may feel that they have no other option but to surrender them to a shelter. In these cases, it is important to remember that there are resources available to help pet owners stay active and engaged with their pets. There are doggy daycare centers, dog walkers, and pet sitters who can help with exercise and socialization. And there are also organizations that can provide financial assistance with food and other supplies. So the question must be asked, are we really committing to giving these animals the life they deserve? Sometimes it's because they've moved into a new home that doesn't allow pets, or they may have developed allergies since getting the dog. Whatever the reason, it's important to remember that dogs are living beings and should not be treated like disposable objects. If you can no longer care for your dog, please reach out to a rescue organization or shelter to help find a new home for them. Don't make the heartless decision to put your dog down. Are we ready for the responsibility of being a pet owner, or are we just doing this on a whim? Well, it seems like more and more people are choosing to put their pets down. The number of dogs and cats that are put down in the US each year is staggering. In fact, according to the ASPCA, approximately 6.3 million dogs and 3.2 million cats enter animal shelters nationwide every year, with 2.6 million dogs and 1.3 million cats being euthanized. Owners often cite aggression, separation anxiety, chewing, digging, barking, and other behavioral problems as the reason for their decision. However, many of these issues can be addressed with training and behavior modification. For example, in a recent case, a woman in Arizona surrendered her dog after he bit her mother-in-law. The dog had a history of aggression towards women, and the owner felt that she could no longer care for him. Rather than seeking professional help to address the dog's behavior, she chose to surrender him to a local shelter where he was euthanized. Another common behavioral issue that leads to euthanasia is separation anxiety. Many dogs suffer from separation anxiety, which can lead to destructive behavior, excessive barking, and other problems. But this issue can also be addressed with training and behavior modification. In another case, a man in California surrendered his dog because he was not able to handle his separation anxiety. Instead of working with a behaviorist or trainer to help the dog cope with being alone, he chose to take him to a local shelter where he was euthanized. This means that nearly half of the animals entering shelters are still being put down. But why are people choosing to do this? The most common reason given for putting a pet down is behavioral issues. While we understand that dealing with behavioral issues can be challenging, we believe that most of these issues can be addressed with professional help. In addition to behavioral issues, many owners also surrender their pets due to a lack of time or resources. Another reason why people choose to put their pets down is simply because they no longer want them. We know that many people are struggling to care for their pets during these difficult times. Please don't hesitate to reach out for help if you need it. But what about medical reasons? Surely those play a part in euthanasia rates, right? However, this is where things get a little more complicated. Take, for example, the case of a dog named Boo, who was recently euthanized after being diagnosed with terminal cancer. As you can see, there's no easy answers when it comes to euthanasia. Every situation is different and every dog is unique. Ultimately, the decision of whether or not to euthanize a dog is a difficult one and should not be taken lightly. So if you're struggling with this decision, please don't hesitate to reach out to a trusted friend, family member, or veterinary professional for help. If you have a story about euthanizing a pet, please share it in the comments below. The cost of taking your pet to the vet has increased by 27% in the last 3 years, with an average consultation now costing £47. And for many pet owners, these prices have become simply unaffordable. As a result, more and more people are choosing to put their sick animals down, according to experts. According to a recent survey, the number of pets being put down because of cost has increased by 38% compared to last year. But when it comes to your furry friend's health, it's important not to cut corners. If you notice anything unusual or concerning with your pet, such as loss of appetite, lethargy, or changes in behavior or appearance, please consult a professional. It can be distressing for both the animal and owner when a vet gives a diagnosis that requires expensive treatment. In light of these recent developments, we would urge all pet owners to take out pet insurance. And almost 1 in 10 have even considered giving away their pets due to the rising cost of care. The charity interviewed more than 2,000 UK pet owners and found that 39% of respondents were spending more on their pets' food, while 43% were spending more on vet bills. Moreover, 8% admitted to feeding their animals less in order to save money. The cost of living crisis is having a devastating impact on the bond between pets and their owners. Worryingly, almost a quarter said they would consider rehoming their pet if the cost of living crisis continues to worsen. A recent survey conducted by Yagov on behalf of the PDSA revealed some shocking statistics. A new report has highlighted the heartbreaking reality of the cost of living crisis, revealing that thousands of pets are being put down by owners who can no longer afford to care for them. Many of these animals are suffering from illnesses or injuries that could be treated if their owners had the financial means to do so. It found that almost half of UK pet owners are struggling to afford the cost of veterinary care, while 1.4 million have had to borrow money or use savings to pay for essential treatment. The charity interviewed more than 2,000 pet owners and found that 28% were spending more on their pet's food and 22% were spending more on toys, treats, and other essentials. They are also urging people to contact their local council if they are struggling to afford pet food or other essential supplies. There are organizations that can provide you with the necessary resources to ensure that your beloved animal receives the care they need. Don't wait until it's too late. Reach out today and get the help you deserve. In addition, the charity is encouraging people to donate whatever they can to help them continue providing vital services to pets and their owners. It's important that we come together and support one another during these difficult times. As a result, 19% of respondents said they were cutting back on the amount of food they give their pets, while 13% admitted to skipping their pets' veterinary checkups. However, the rising cost of living and limited access to affordable veterinary care are forcing tough decisions that should never have to be made. This difficult decision is often made as a last resort when all other options have been exhausted and veterinary bills become too high to manage. The report, which was compiled by the Daily Mirror, includes stories of pet owners who have been left with no choice but to say goodbye to their furry friends. The rising cost of food, veterinary care, and other essential items is forcing many families to make impossible decisions about their beloved animals. This is simply unacceptable, and we must do everything we can to support those who are struggling. Nearly 1.3 million UK pet owners have been unable to afford food for their pets, while 1.2 million have had to cut back on the amount of food they give their animals. Additionally, 548,000 owners have admitted to skipping their pets' veterinary checkups due to cost concerns. These figures paint a grim picture of the current situation and highlight the tough choices that many pet owners are being forced to make. By investing a small amount each month, you can protect yourself against unexpected vet bills and ensure that your furry friend receives the treatment they need without causing you any financial hardship. It's essential we address this issue before more pets suffer. Despite the pain the disease was causing him, she felt she had no other option due to the high cost of treatment. Another heartbreaking story featured a couple in their 70s who had to make the difficult decision to euthanize their disabled cat, Charlie, because they could no longer afford his medication. These are just two examples of the thousands of pets being put down each year due to the rising cost of living and the difficult economic circumstances faced by many families. The report sheds light on a critical issue that needs urgent attention. This situation is having a devastating impact on both animals and their owners. We strongly recommend that you consider this option carefully, as it could prove invaluable should your pet require medical attention in the future. But in some cases, the costs involved can be simply prohibitive, leaving pet owners with no other option than euthanasia. Don't try to diagnose them yourself or treat them with medication intended for human consumption. These could all be signs of something serious, and your vet will be able to help. This difficult decision should never have to be made, but the rising cost of veterinary care is making it a real possibility for some families. The research conducted by Yagov on behalf of the PDSA found that almost a quarter of dog owners and 16% of cat owners are struggling to afford veterinary treatment for their pets. Almost half of those surveyed said they would consider euthanasia if their pet required major surgery, while 39% said they would consider it if their animal needed daily medication. Worryingly, almost a fifth of respondents said they would take their pet to the vet if it became ill or injured because they couldn't afford the costs involved. This is a stark reminder of the financial strain many households are under and how even beloved pets are not immune from the squeeze, and the numbers are only getting bigger. So if you have any concerns whatsoever, don't hesitate to contact your local vet. They're there to help, and early treatment could save your pet's life. As the financial crisis deepens and inflation continues to soar, Brits are being forced to make impossible decisions about their beloved pets. With vet bills costing more than ever, many are having to euthanize their animals instead of paying for treatment. It's a heartbreaking situation, but one that is becoming increasingly common. Vets have revealed the true extent of the problem, which is much worse than anyone had anticipated. In this difficult time, it can be tempting to look for ways to save money. With early intervention, many illnesses and conditions can be managed successfully, and your pet can live a long, happy life. While vets are doing their best to help animals in need, many are struggling to cope with the increasing number of pets being brought in due to illness or injury. Sadly, this is becoming an all-too-frequent occurrence as the cost of living crisis continues to bite. According to a recent survey conducted by Save a Pet, nearly half of all UK pet owners are struggling to afford food and other essentials for their animals. This is an alarming trend that should be taken seriously, as it indicates a growing number of people are unable to provide basic necessities for their animals. A new study has shed light on the heartbreaking reality that many pet owners are facing, revealing that some are even considering euthanasia as a cost-saving measure. It is vital that pet owners have access to affordable veterinary care so they can make informed decisions about their animal's health without resorting to such drastic measures. Many are now being forced to make heartbreaking decisions about their beloved companions, such as whether to provide them with necessary medical treatment or even keep them part of the family. It's essential that we take action to support both pets and their owners during these challenging times. One such case involved a woman named Emma Carter, who was forced to put her beloved dog Bruno down after he developed cancer. Thousands of pets are being put down by owners who can no longer afford to care for them. A recent study conducted by the Blue Cross charity revealed some shocking statistics. The findings of this report are deeply concerning. It paints a picture of a country where the cost of living crisis is having a devastating impact on our relationship with our pets. The Blue Cross charity is calling on the government to provide more support for pet owners during these challenging times. If you are struggling to afford the cost of your pet, please reach out for help.